Hello friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about the practical things that you can do to build a soft life. When it comes to building a soft life, I think that a lot of us seem to always go to the extreme and think about luxury lifestyle, not working, or things that for the majority of us are unattainable. So I thought today I will share with you some of the practical things that I started doing to build a soft life. These are things that I have actually implemented in my life, and some of them might be useful to you, some of them may not be applicable to you, but I'm hoping that it'll give you some practical ideas to implement a soft life in your everyday and slowly build your dream life. The first tip is to not have an alarm. Now this may sound a little bit odd and you might be wondering, don't you have work? Don't you have things to do? And yes, I do. But what I mean when I say to not have an alarm is really to prioritize sleep. And the way I have been doing it is to try as best as I can to not schedule things for very first thing in the morning, and to also make sure that I wake up as naturally as possible. This may be more or less easy to do depending on the season that we're currently in, but something that has really helped me is to have an alarm clock that mimics the sunrise, because that way I don't really have any loud alarm that gives me anxiety and stress, and I gradually wake up as the light keeps going up. The one that I use is called Lumi, and I found it to be really good. I always tend to wake up feeling a lot more rested when I use this alarm, and it's made my mornings a lot softer. And of course, when possible, I will try to let myself sleep. I have kind of unsubscribed to the idea that there is such a thing as oversleeping, especially for women. We do need a lot of sleep, and depending on where we are in our cycle, we might just need to lie in. So I let myself sleep as much as possible, because there's nothing worse than waking up already feeling tired. Something else that I do to try and live a softer life that is very practical is to plan my calendar according to my menstrual cycle. Now again, this is something that doesn't have to be taken super literally. I have familiarized myself with my cycle, and I have learned what my energy levels are like through the different phases. And that kind of like allows me to try to do my best to schedule different things in the different phases of my cycle. That doesn't mean that if I have a meeting in a phase where I'm low energy, I'm never gonna take it, but it just means that I am proactively scheduling things in my calendar so that I can optimize my energy and I can actually allow my body to do and be whatever it needs to be in that specific moment. A big example is I have to do a lot of filming for work, and I also have lots and lots of editing. I tend to schedule my filming for the time of the month that I am the most outgoing, that I feel the most energetic, so that I can come to you with positive energy. And I will then schedule the editing for times where I feel a little bit less outgoing and I feel like my energy levels are not quite as high, because that is a task that I can do alone and in my own time. The same goes for meetings and catch-ups. I love connecting with people, but if I know that I'm gonna be either in pain or a little bit sad or a little bit stressed, I am gonna try and avoid scheduling catch-ups in that time. An additional hurdle that I personally face is that I struggle with PMDD, and I can talk about it more in another video if you like, but that does mean that I have to be particularly careful with this, because my mental health really does take a dip right before my period, and so this becomes even more important. Now the next one is something that I have been doing for a while, and if you've been following, you probably know this already, but it's turning off all notifications on your devices. And yes, I'm already hearing people saying things like, but what about important calls and emergencies? You can keep your calls on, but anything else, any social media, any reminders, any emails, any push notifications that you might get from random apps that you have on your phone, all of those should be off. I cannot begin to tell you how much better I have felt since I have done this. And every time that for some reason I go back to having notifications, I am quickly reminded of how much nicer my life is when I am not constantly pulled to my phone. Particularly with WhatsApp, I find it so odd how we've grown accustomed to receiving instant responses for everything. And I've really had to almost train my friends and my family to understand that I am not on at all times, and I will respond when I can and when I feel like I can give an appropriate response. I always default to calls if there's something important, and I expect everyone else to do the same. So I would definitely suggest you try to implement this if you're trying to build a soft life. Another thing that has hugely helped me, and this has been a hard one to do, and I'm still in the process of building a strong habit of, is to clean my place daily. Just to have a little closing shift in the evening or an opening shift in the morning if you're more of a morning person can really help you to set yourself up for a softer, more calm day. And the reason why I say this is because I find that a place that is untidy and cluttered and messy really just doesn't help me mentally or physically to do anything. I feel less likely to get ready in the morning if the place is a mess, and I feel less likely to cook a nice meal for myself if the kitchen is dirty. And there's just so many things that I just don't feel as inspired to do if my place is not looking good. This doesn't mean that you have to deep clean every single day, but it could be something as simple as making sure that your counters are all ready for the morning so that you don't have dirty plates in the sink and you have a clean cup to have your morning coffee, or it could be to make your bed every day. Whatever is going to help you to make sure that you can show up for yourself and really feel that energy of wanting to look after yourself. And for me, a clean and tidy space really does it. This is another thing that you will have heard me saying so many times, and is to practice gratitude daily and open yourself up to good energy. It sounds a little woo-woo, and I will have a whole dedicated video about my personal journey to gratitude, but it genuinely does change the game. And again, you can do this at whatever time of the day or the evening that you prefer, or even midday if you'd like. But to just take 5 minutes to be grateful for something can really change the energy and the outcome of a lot in your life. When I think about a soft life, I think about a life of abundance, of comfort, and of beauty. And I always feel like all of these things come more naturally to you when you are in a positive space. This doesn't mean that every single day you have to be happy. I used to conflate the idea of being grateful with the idea of being happy, but they are two different things. You can be grateful when you feel sad. It is a little bit harder sometimes, but you can still find a couple of things to just express gratitude to. Some of my easiest gratitude things that I can think of when I'm really low are the first cup of coffee that I have in the morning, the fact that I woke up in a safe, warm space, and my fiance. So I'm sure that all of you can find 3 things to think about, and this is a very practical and very real thing that is going to help you to have a softer life. I am a pretty minimal person when it comes to clothing and just in general owning things. A lot of what you see is actually stuff that we found in this place when we rented it. But there are a couple of things that do help me when it comes to having a soft life. For example, I have been really investing in having comfortable and cozy clothes. That is because I spend 90% of my time at home and I don't really have a need for any other type of clothing, but I realize that I want to feel put together and pretty every day at home as well. And so for me, investing in those clothes has been a way to create the soft life that I have been dreaming of. For you, this might be to invest in some comfortable clothes to go to work, or maybe in some fun outfits to go out if that is something that you have been dreaming about. But I want to encourage you to think about investing into things as something that isn't a shallow thing, Perhaps I should go into this a little bit more in a separate video, but I do feel like there has been a lot of focus on over consumerism, and that is something that is super important because as a society we are 100% not doing our dues to our planet by constantly overbuying things. However, I have found myself as someone who actually already struggled a lot with investing money into things, a little bit stressed about being judged for investing in things that are not maybe seen quite as important as others. Things like clothes and items. For example, you have seen me holding this mug, and this has been an investment that I've made. It's a beautiful mug. I use it every morning and it's getting me into this spring feeling. And before I bought this mug, I was very stressed because I just thought, I don't really need another mug. Why should I be getting a new mug? Is it money well spent? But the joy that this mug brings me every single day, for me, it's worth it. And so I would invite you to think about ways that you can invest perhaps into physical items that will bring you a lot of joy, because that is definitely part of building a soft life. Let me know if you would like to hear more about practical tips to build a soft life. I actually was thinking about a few that I would recommend to anyone who is currently still working a 9 to 5. So if that would be of interest, let me know in the comments down below. And just a reminder, then again, embracing a softer life is something that you should be doing in your own time and with your own means. Don't feel pressured and don't feel rushed. Welcoming more softness in my life truly has changed the game for me, and I would invite anyone that feels called to do so. So a final reminder that you deserve to be happy and to build your dream life. And I'll see you in the next video.